today we're going to be running the battery cables inside this car. I've already spent yesterday and got all the wiring moved, and today we're going to break into basically the battery cables. Now, this is not my car, so basically as I build it, he's going to keep everything I build. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to run a good set of cables from the starter to the inside. So underneath the hood we have the negative and we have the positive. And what we have here is an old set of booster cables that made me very upset over the winter, so I actually cut the ends off. Now what you might think is you have two. That is correct, you do have two, but I like to keep them together because basically these are not very thick cables. The cable I use, usually to start my Toyotas is about 4 times as big as both of these put together. So we're going to be using the 2 of these to go inside. We're just going to join them together, and I'm going to show you guys how to do this on the cheap. So here's basically an old set of booster cables that come in a car that you buy that are, the ends are always rotted, they never clamp properly because they've been overheated. I'm going to show you guys how to turn these into your positive cable. And then the first thing we're going to do is the negative. It goes to the body. So we're just going to ground it to the top of the motor right here. We are going to sand it down a bit so that way it's a good contact. But we're just going to connect that there like that. Just a ground cable. Just tighten it down with the 10 mil. Make sure it's a good spot to be grounded down to. Boom! Your ground is already done. That is not the hardest part. The hardest part is this. So what we're going to do is we're going to bare the ends of this cable, and then we'll be right back. So what we have here is some old copper pipe. I get it for scrap every now and then. When I remodeled my house, I got a whole bunch out, so we're just going to turn on my bench bandsaw. Just going to cut it off. Yeah, take these pipes over here now. I'm going to put them down. We're going to take the ends that we bared. We're going to slide that pipe over both of them, not just one, both of them. Just like that. Put them on the hammer as a backing. There, we have one side done. Now I am going to solder these as well, and that's because I do have solder. So I've seen people just take tech screws and drive tech screws through them as well. That works. So there you go. We now have 2 ends put on the booster cables. Now we just got to drill holes in them. We're going to quickly solder them and we'll install this. So what we've done is we've taken the yellow booster cable and we disconnected the clamp that goes around the positive on the battery. I'm just going to tape this up. So when I buy my expensive cables for my Toyota Camrys, the ones that I plan on keeping for a long time, I go to Princess Auto and I buy 0.0 gauge wire. And why I do that is because the thicker the cable, the easier it is to start your cars. The thinner the cable, the less draw, the less amps it can push through it. Same volts, less amps. So it's actually harder to start your car with smaller cables. So I like to go with the biggest cables I can get because I don't want that to be something that takes me out inside the derby ring. But for you guys that want to do it on the cheap, find yourself a good old set of booster cables, hook them up, run them, just like this. Now, these newer cars all have cabin air filters, so it is really easy to run these. These are bright yellow, so they're very obviously able to be seen. So I'll show you guys how I ran them, and it's as simple as me opening the glove box, kicking the glove box out of the car, pulling the cabin air filter out, and running the cables through where the cabin air filter goes. I'll be probably running the fuel lines through the same way. I have some hose clamps that I've actually put into some factory holes where the wiper cowl was to make it look nice and pretty, because you know you got to make your derby cars look fancy. And we have one more step to go to make this system work. So the first thing we did is we took the ground from the battery and put it right to the motor. Sometimes I put it right to the body, but it already goes to the body. So the motor and the body are grounded very well. The positive is the next thing we did. We ran that with this yellow set of booster cables to the inside, and I'll show you where it comes out onto the inside. So what we have right here is the positive cable from underneath the hood. What we're going to do is we're going to just attach it right to the positive on the battery using the factory connection that was supplied with the car. So we're just going to tighten this down. You need a good battery connection inside the derby ring. You don't want these things coming loose. Now the next thing is just this factory Toyota Camry negative from the battery. We're just going to thread it into where the seat bolts down to on the passenger side. Nice and tight. Going to slide that onto the negative. We're going to tighten it down. Now we have to see if this thing starts up. I got power. There we go. So let's go take a look to see what this cost me. So what did this cost me to be able to run these fuel lines? Sorry, the battery cables. So the positive, this was an old booster cable that I got for free in a car I bought. It came in the trunk, I believe, of a Toyota Camry, and let's face it, they're too thin to start my diesel in the winter. They're too thin to pretty much do anything, and all the handles were worn out, so they wouldn't even stay on the battery. So that was free. Negative, that was free because it came on the car. The negative that went from the battery to the floor inside of here, guess what? That was free because that came off a Toyota Camry. This cost me nothing. The pipe I even got for free. So instead of me going out and paying $5 or $6 a foot for 0-0 cable and buying nice weld-on ends that are $7 a piece, I built this. This cable right here is 10 feet, so you're talking $65, $70 in cable. Plus $12, you're talking almost $100 for a cable, and I did this one for free. So, guys, this is the easiest way to do it. This is the cheapest way to do it, and by having both of them ran, it actually increases the amount of amps that you can put through it. So, that's how I do this stuff on a cheap, and now we have the battery located on this. Next is fuel lines. I don't even know if this thing has a return line or not, but we're going to be mounting that battery to the floor. Probably right about now. We're going to be using this battery box. Tried, tested, true. Just going to bolt the battery right down to the floor, and we're going to call it a day, and the battery's located. So I guess I'll get going on that. Well, would you take a look at that? We got the center console out, battery mounted. We got all the wiring ripped out of the back, both sides. I'm going to take that driver's side wiring up a little farther as soon as I disconnect the gas tank, but I'm just going to leave it for now until I basically put my gas tank in it. There's a ground over there, doesn't matter. There's a ground over here, doesn't matter. There's a ground that goes right here on the passenger pillar, doesn't matter. So basically all the grounds behind the driver's seat except for the one for the fuel pump do not matter. So that's a nice bonus on this. It's real easy to move the wiring. So we have the battery in it. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. So, as of right now, we have all the wiring moved in the back of the car. We have all the wiring moved underneath the hood. We have the battery cables ran. This thing is mint. So, wiring on this car, I've never done a Hyundai before, so this is all kind of learning experience for me. But, very easy. I'm going to say it's easier than a factory Camry if you're not running a standalone harness. I'm going to say this is probably one of the easiest cars I've ever had to move the factory harnesses, and I'm actually pretty impressed with it. So, yeah, that's all done. We did go buy spray foam for this, but I'm going to wait until we have the fuel lines ran and everything, because then I can just spray foam the fuel lines as they go through as well. And fun things like that. But thanks everybody for watching. We got all the wiring moved, we got the battery cable ran, the battery moved, everything like that. So coming along very, very well. I'm actually pretty impressed on it. So thanks for watching everybody. we'll see you back here tomorrow on Zach's Workshop. And the Killer Kia is coming along. A couple of good names have been put down in the comments, but I think the Killer Kia is going to be the one that sticks. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Maybe we'll come up with a cool paint job for this one. See you guys back here tomorrow. Bye.